He is the man himself. Hi, Eddie.
Hello.
Welcome everyone to Camera Ready Live. We are with Makeup Forever once again. Our final episode before the makeup show, so we're excited about that. And Eddie's going to take us through a little journey of Makeup Forever's powders today. So, Eddie.
So I think we want to talk about a few of the different powders we have because today we just launched a new powder. And I think it's really important for people to kind of know the differences in our powders because, we have a good selection of powders. And I know that, it can get a little confusing. And I think it's important to understand these differences so that when you do choose your powder, you're choosing the right powder for the right reasons. And that it's good for your skin, especially dependent on your skin type. So I think it's a good way to kind of get ready for the makeup show because we're going to be there.
Awesome. And guys, by the way, do not be shy. Ask questions. We do have a moderator watching the questions. So if you guys do have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat and we'll get those answered for you while Eddie's sort of talking through all the products as well.
Awesome. All right. So I think we should start with our, I think it's a versatile powder. And I know you and I were talking about this before. Oh, hi, Yvonne.
Everyone's here today.
Folks, come in. I love this. So the most versatile powder, I think, is the Matte Velvet Powder Foundation. Okay. And I know you have it there, and I believe you're going to kind of work with it a little bit. What I love about the Matte Velvet Powder Foundation is the fact that it is a powder foundation that you can use to get full coverage or sheer coverage. So you're actually able to really kind of get a beautiful coverage out of this powder as well as touch up through the day. And it is super blurring, which I love. I love anything that blurs out any of those pores or friends that just don't belong on the face. And I love how it looks on the skin. So depending on, the tool that you use, Calvin, you're using, I believe that's 122 if I'm not mistaken.
122.
Oh, okay, whoa. It's great because it's an airbrush brush, so it will actually add powder very lightly to the skin. So you can use so many different tools with the powder foundation. It's great for touching up. It's great for on set. It looks great when you touch up. I think the choice that you have to make when you're working with a pigmented powder like this is probably look at the powder and then go a shade lighter than you think to test it out first. Because it is a powder that has a high pigment level to it. So you don't want to kind of think, oh, that looks like my color and put it on and be like, skirt, she's a little deep for me, right?
You know what? You know what's really funny, Eddie? I was talking to one of the beauty advisors here at Camera Ready. When I go too dark in my powder, like literally she was surprised that I wore I wear a Y405. Now, mind you, I have one Reboot Y434.
Yep.
A lot of people think that I'm darker than this. I'm not. This is as dark as I can go in a powder without turning orange.
Yep. It's very true. And this, again, for the Matte Velvet Powder Foundation, it is a higher level of pigment. So you just want to choose carefully. And I always say, look at the powder you think that looks like you and go 2 to 3 shades lighter to test first. And I think to your point, you're a Y434, but your powder is a Y405, so even myself, right now I'm wearing a Y412 and I will use a Y315 in the powder foundation because they are very pigmented. And the good thing is, it's great because if, you're wearing it as a foundation, it's your everything, right? You can get that full coverage out of it.
Absolutely.
So I definitely think it's probably the most versatile powder out there. Right?
And it does come with that double-sided sponge to give you like a lighter finish and a fuller coverage.
Yeah. And for my pros, I love putting them in my palettes.
I'm so jealous. Look at those palettes.
So I have my yellow ones. My yellow ones on one side and my red ones on the other, so I don't confuse them. So it's really, what would be the main? Oh, I see a question. If you work in Miami on mainly people of color, what would be the main shades you would add to your kit? So, I mean, I definitely want to say more on the golden side. When you're talking about people of color, it's kind of still dependent because they do run so deep. So, I can tell you, a Y505, a Y405, a Y415, an R530, an R540. Those kind of shades are going to be really good for you. And sometimes even like a Y375 for like, you know, for the lighter people of color. Because, you know, especially in Miami and that population, they go from, you can go from tan to really deep. So, and
Yeah.
especially with the sun there.
Yeah, the thing you don't want to do for your kit is grab all red colors. And
No.
that's something I can advise to you as a makeup artist who's worked on dark skin and dark skin and dark skin. The thing you don't want to do is just have nothing but red base powders.
For
Again,
sure.
I'm in a Y, so that's golden. So, yeah.
And I think it's good to also like choose wisely. Don't get all yellows either, because some of the powders, if it's too yellow on camera, it reads very yellow. So you want some neutral shades in there too. So I always kind of like to mix a little bit of some of the neutral shades and some of the red shades and some of the yellow shades, because they also, you can mix these together. And I also kind of, I don't know if you can tell, I lay them next to colors that I can mix together. Okay.
Fantastic.
So it's really important to kind of just put them in places where, you know what, this might be a little yellow, but I can run my brush through these two colors and use that.
Neutralize it.
And neutralize. So I think it's really, it's important to, you know, you have to kind of look at them, because you only know the market that you work with and the population.
Clientele.
Because people of color, it's a very broad kind of audience.
And not to mention, a lot of times you're going to use your powder as a corrector for a foundation if you have to in a darker skin, because there's so many tones in darker skin. So you might go in with a more ruby-based foundation, but a yellow-based powder to sort of, like to Eddie's point, neutralize.
Ooh, can you give us the list of colors in your big palette, please? Oh, girl, hold on. Okay, so I'm going to pull this palette out for you. Okay, Miss, what is it? Sherry LA Fries or Shalia Fries. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I'm going to tell you. So I got a Y505. I have a Y445. I have a Y405. I have
basically all of them.
Y415. I kind of almost do. I mean, there's 40 shades, so I don't have the 40 shades in here because I ain't carrying 40 shades of nothing with me. A Y345. A Y365, a Y305, a Y315, and then I have a Y215 and a Y245. Now, it sounds like they're all Ys, but what I want you to understand also is that some of the Ys are much more neutral, all right? So like a Y215, a Y315, a Y415, they tend to be more neutral shades, okay? A 365 is going to be more yellow. A 375, for example, is going to be very yellow. A 405 is more yellow. So, you know, I kind of don't get, just because there's a Y in front of it, don't think that it's actually just a strong yellow. You really have to kind of try them out and see. And honestly, look at them against skin. So like, it's good to go test them out wherever you're able to get them, because you're gonna have to make those decisions based on the clients that you work with. All right, let me put this palette back together, y'all. Y'all make me take my things apart.
Well, you have a whole darn store there, Eddie.
Listen, so this is all brand new behind me because I couldn't take another moment in this back studio of mine. I had boxes and bags and cases, and I was like, I looked like a makeup hoarder. I'm like, okay, this is terrible. I've got to fix this. So thank
I
God.
just want you guys to kind of see that I've been sort of going side to side, but you can literally see straight on the difference from having the powder on to having no powder and just a foundation with some primer oil on. So yeah, so I just wanted you to make sure you kind of saw the difference, that it's not going to be like your strongest matte, so you still have more of a satin skin. There's still a glow there. The glow isn't gone, but it's definitely dimmed down and sort of like more of a natural finish.
Yeah, and it is a long wearing powder, so you don't have to worry about it breaking apart. You don't have to worry about it like settling in fine lines. You know, there's not a high silicone base to this. And just so you know, a lot of times when powders have a lot of dimethicone in them or any kind of silicone, they can roll into certain areas. So this does not have that. Yeah. I mean, I love the powder, and it's great for touching up on set, and it's great for my personal use when I feel like getting a true matte. You're going to get more of a satin matte finish, but it's closer to what a real matte is like with the powders, because it is meant for an oilier skin type. And so obviously oilier skins don't necessarily really want, you know, a luxurious creamy powder. They want to be matte and be able to
Yeah.
touch up with that
No.
powder.
Yeah. Oily skin, they demand the matte.
They demand the matte. They want the matte for sure.
Absolutely.
I think after that powder, I know we do have currently, and I say currently, super matte loose powder. And super matte loose powder is the traditional setting powder that we have. Now, I don't want to get too much into the super matte loose powder, but it is your traditional setting powder, okay? It's your talc based, it has talc, silk, nylon, nylon powder. So those are your traditional setting powders. So I don't want to get too much into that because we got something new for you all. I know someone wants to see the palettes again. So this is my large palette, which contains all my Y shades. And this is my red palette, which contains my R shades, okay? So I kind of keep them separately just so as I'm working, I'm able to identify, I don't have to think or guess what is red, what is yellow.
Absolutely.
So I like to keep them separate, and then if I need to, I can mix them together, you know, if I need to cancel and create more of a neutral shade.
I think you just sold those palettes like everyone. Because even I'm looking at those palettes with envy. I'm like, I want my powders in
I know,
those
I'm
palettes.
seeing this. I mean, who doesn't love a good palette, y'all?
Absolutely.
So, super matte loose powder is your traditional setting powder. Period. And that's all I'm gonna say about SMP, LP, LP.
That's right. She out there. She out there.
She out there. Okay, so then we have the Ultra HD loose powder and pressed powder. Okay, so Calvin's holding the loose, and I'm holding the pressed powder here. All right, they're finishing powders. All right, it's a very, very different kind of powder. This is not your setting powder, y'all. This is a finishing powder. This is something that is going to blur out imperfections, okay? That is the sole purpose of this powder. Can you put it on top of foundation? Yes. Do you want to bake with this? Absolutely not, okay? That is not the purpose of this powder. It's also why, if you look at Calvin's powder, it's small. It's not, the grams are very, very small, all right? It's meant to be used very lightly. The difference between the loose and the press is the press has nylon in it, so it will actually blur a little bit more and will mattify a little bit more. So for my oilier folks, this is probably going to be the press is going to be a better powder, and for everyone else, the loose or the press. And the press, you can kind of see it does blur out any fine lines, and it mattifies the skin a little bit more. All right. So it's really a finishing powder. It sits under Ultra HD because it's meant to look like skin. Anything that says Ultra HD, period, it's about looking like skin. You know, the Ultra HD in general was created for that high definition. You know, we were the first ones to launch an HD foundation back in 2008 when technology went crazy. You know, we were, again, the first brand to in 2015 to come out with 40 shades of foundation because technology shifted again. So it has to look like skin. And so anything that you see that says Ultra HD, it's about looking like skin. All right. And so you don't want to abuse this powder. You know, I mean, y'all have seen some abuse with this powder because I know I have.
Yeah. So Eddie, I have a question. If a client is wearing the matte velvet, could they go in with the Ultra HD to sort of blur more?
100%. So I think what's really important is when you're layering powders, it's about targeting areas, right? So like, where do I want to blur more? And it's usually like, you know, the pores around the nose, like, you know, nasolabial, sometimes even a little bit under the eye if I've got some like texture, through the, you know, forehead and the center. So it's really about where do I need to diffuse or reduce imperfections.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to stop you because, Lord, look at that. I look flat. Look at that.
Yeah.
Flat. Okay, back to you.
You're so funny. So you want to use it in targeted areas if you're layering, okay? And it's really just about using a very little bit amount. I always tell people, if your brush looks white, it's wrong. Your brush should look dusty, okay? It needs to look almost like a dirty brush because the powder is so fine that the brush will pick up a lot more than you think. So if your brush looks white, y'all, you need to take that off. Like, you need to clear your brush out, all right?
Guys, it really is so super fine that you do not feel a grain. There's no grit, grain. It just feels like, yes. Even I can't feel the little, you know, what are they called? The grooves in my finger.
The particles. You just
I can't feel the grooves in my finger even right now. It's so smooth. Yeah.
It literally fills in any imperfection. I use this a lot if someone has like, you know, I've done the skincare prep on them. I've done exfoliating wipes on them. I've done all I can do to kind of create that kind of like smooth texture. And they still have a little bit of like texture in those areas. I will literally take my go-to brush, my 144. I probably have like 600 of them somewhere around here. I was doing makeup today on myself. So this 144 brush.
Yes.
P.S. Desert Island brush, FYI.
Yeah, it's fierce. Maxi brush. Yeah.
I will put this into my Ultra HD loose, and I will go ahead and go into little areas that I really need to treat that may have a little bit of texture. That is how you use Ultra HD micro finishing powder, impressed or loose. All right.
I think that there was a lot of confusion because people were, oh gosh, help me. That word flawless was thrown around left and right. And because this does what it does, everyone thought they should buff it in all over because they thought, well, I'll just make myself like flawless all over. You know what I mean? So that was the mass confusion with this because it does blur so well, people wanted everything blurred like a filter, you know?
100%. I will say, as humans, and I'm guilty of this too, is we want one product to be the holy grail for everything. Oh, you said flawless? I'm going to do this everywhere. You know, oh, this is a corrector? I'm going to put this everywhere. Like,
yes. No.
Y'all, one powder, one product cannot do everything. It's like, you know, you have to find the perfect cocktail for your skin, and every skin is different, and every combination is going to be different because we're like, as a human, we are a whole universe, and no human is alike. Like, no skin is alike. No texture is alike, you know? So we love to say, oh my God, it's flawless. I want to just put it everywhere. No.
No.
No. So I think we should talk about the big elephant in the room that just launched today, right? Yes. Okay, so it is the Ultra HD Matte Setting Powder. Can I tell you how much I love this new powder? Now, I'm not going to lie. It did take me a hot minute to get used to it, all right? This is a very different setting powder. And that's why I didn't want to talk too much about Super Matte Loose, because Super Matte Loose is going bye-bye. And this is replacing it, okay? Now, a few things about this new Ultra HD Matte Setting Powder, because it is going to take people a little bit of an adjustment, all right? Because we're so used to these really fine and silky powders, all right? This is not, oh my God, you remember from Premiere Orlando. Hi. This powder is definitely not like a silky, like luxurious powder. This is a hard-working powder. And because this is a much different formulation, and I'll get into this, it is a little bit more earthy. She's a dense powder. Can you agree, Calvin?
Yes, I put it in the back of my hand. I was like, I'm gonna let you talk about it, but I put it in the back of my hand before the live, and I was like, holy moly, it's so different.
Yep.
Yes.
It is such a different powder. And as a makeup artist, and again, you know how we pros roll. How could you do this to me? You got rid of my favorite powder. You know, even from a consumer perspective, I was like, oh my God.
But can I tell you what the texture of this is going to cut down on time?
Yes.
Because you don't have to go in so many times. You don't have to actually, I'm telling you now before he even explains it. As a pro, you're going to love this because it's going to cut your powder time in half.
Yes.
You're done.
100%. So first of all, I want to show you what it looks like. I don't know if you guys can see how dense this powder is. It almost looks like little balls in there. Like, it's super, super, super dense powder, okay? This is not your super refined, silky powder, and there's a huge reason for it, okay? A few years back, I actually want to say about 2 years, two and a half years, at Makeup Forever, we decided to do something called Commitment Forever, all right? And Commitment Forever means that going forward, we want to create formulations that are healthier for the environment and that the packaging is also eco-friendly. So we're working towards those things, right? And yes, I will get into the shades, Makeup Artistry by Suzanne, because there is something close to a translucent. So this formula is a cleaner formula. I don't like to say 100% clean, but it is a much cleaner formula for an artistry brand, okay? So a lot of the ingredients are much more natural, okay? The main ingredient, okay, is something, it's a big fancy word, y'all, all right? It's basically a mineral, and it's called diatomaceous earth, all right? Big word. You don't, word not necessary, but what you need to know about it is that it actually comes from under seabeds and dried big, large bodies of water. So it's a very, very important mineral that actually helps to desensitize irritation on the skin. So that is one of the biggest ingredients in this powder, all right? What's not in here? Talc. It is 100% free of talc, all right? So, and I know that right now, talc is kind of under scrutiny, and it's kind of like a controversial ingredient right now. So I know that we decided as a brand, especially in North America, to remove the talc from the new powder. That being said, you know, talc has always been known to be a much larger mattifier, all right? So just know that this new powder is more of a skin finish matte versus a traditional flat matte. It sits in Ultra HD. Now, it also contains kaolin. It also contains a lot more silica in it. And I'm going to put it on my face, and you'll see, like, it is crazy how it blurs the skin, all right? So it is a much cleaner formula, which is, I think, super important nowadays. And as we go forward, people want cleaner formula. As an artist, I want a cleaner formula if it's available to us, and technology is shifting, and it's really helping us. So it is going to be an adjustment for my pros out there, for people that love a powder. You have to give it a moment. Like it's like learning, you know, learning something new. And I know for myself, the first time I went to go use it, I was like, whoa, whoa, right?
That's kind of how I was, to be honest with you. When I was testing it with Stacy, our other our marketing person, I was like, wow, like it shocked me. The texture of it shocked me.
100%. I mean, I was like, this is questionable right now. But honestly, the more I use it, the more I actually really enjoy it, because it is actually so blurring. Like, it is like you become poreless, and the skin finish matte is really where you want to be, because what we are challenged with the most a lot of times, especially on set, is we don't like to use powder until it's ultimately necessary, because powder creates texture, all right?
Yes.
And the cameras pick up texture like this.
Absolutely.
So I have to tell you that I used it, and I was like, all right, I'm golden with this new powder. All right, so there are 6 shades, and here's the key to the 6 shades, okay? Very easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all right? Now, I know Makeup Artistry by Suzanne asked, is there a translucent powder? So not the 1.0 is the most translucent, okay? It's closest to what is the 0 powder from Makeup Forever if you've used Super Matte Loose. Now, the thing that I will tell you is, because of the ingredients, I might be able to use this on a light skin to like a medium tan skin. I would not use this on a deep tan to dark skin tone. It's just not, it's not smart to begin with. You're going to want to use a powder.
Translucent.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I wouldn't do it even with our 0 powder. I wouldn't use it on a very deep skin tone anyway. So you have to choose accordingly. So 1.0 is the most translucent. All right. The thing to know too is that this powder is very pigmented, and I'm going to show you. All right. So here's our darkest, the 6.0. Okay. She looks chocolatey, cocoa-y, right? Can you agree? She
Yes.
looks
I
warm
would
and
never
rich.
put her on.
Okay, let me just show you so you get
But
an idea how
yeah,
dark that is.
yeah, that's dark.
It is much more neutral than you think. All right. So
It's
if you
not
are
as red as you
choosing,
think.
no, it's not.
Yeah.
It is much more neutral, and that has a lot to do with the ingredients. All right. So what I'm going to tell you is you might want to choose 2 to 3 shades much lighter than what you really are. You can actually really mix these powders together, and they're beautiful as well. That's why we did only 6 shades, and you know, who's to say down the road we might come out with more shades. But what's great about the 6 shades that we did launch is you can mix and blend them together. And I actually started to create my own mix of powders,
Oh wow.
which I'll be talking about at the makeup show. I'm not going to get into it here. So if you're coming to the show, you'll find out. So
Yeah,
they're really
actually,
beautiful. They're beautiful to mix.
actually, I chose a 2 for myself. I'm gonna put it on after you put yours on to demo it. But
Yes.
I chose a 2. You think that was smart?
You might even be a 3 because I'm going to do
Okay.
a 2, and you're going to see the difference too.
Okay.
So the packaging, the one thing we always hated about loose powder is it always get into the container, right? So we added this lid to it, right? It has a little groove, so it sits in there. You can actually take the powder and use it in the lid. Okay, I like to tap it into the lid, so you can put it right into the lid. Now, if you remember the size of Calvin's Ultra HD Loose Powder, right? Tiny. Look at the size of this, all right? Difference. So what I always say is the Ultra HD Matte Setting Powder is to be used generously. Look at the size. And the Ultra HD Finishing Powder is meant for you to be stingy with because look at the size. The size tells you how you're able to use this product, all right?
Think of this as spot treatment. Just
Yes.
literally spot treatment.
There we go. Now, each one comes with this little powder puff, all right? And it has a little point to it, okay? It's beautiful. It's great. It fits right in the palm of your hand. So, like, for my makeup artists out there, it's the right size. You can lean on the skin if you need to. Like, it's not a cumbersome large puff. You can do a lot of detail work with it. It's a great little puff.
And guys, this is a quality puff. I had to stop him for a second because you usually get a puff in a package that you cannot use. You just wind up throwing out. This thing is dense and smooth, and it's a quality, velvety, like really substantial puff.
Yeah, it's a great little puff. And you know, it's shaped with a point so you can really get in under the eye area, around the nose. Like, it's really designed to kind of work with the contours of the face. Now, when you go to use the powder, and y'all ready for this because you're gonna see a big difference now.
I'm waiting.
You see this reboot glow I got going on today, right? So look at how much powder I'm gonna pick up. Okay, I'm picking up all that powder. I'm gonna massage it right into the puff, so it gets in there.
And you're wearing a 2, okay?
I got the 2.
Okay.
And I'm literally, you see, I'm being real generous with it. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna press under the, and it's really beautiful for under the eye.
Oh my God! Look how smooth. Oh my!
This is like a filter in a jar. You can't tell me nothing. You literally
Guys, I am
cannot
just
tell
as
me
blown away
anything.
by you are. Like, I am just as blown away by you are watching this because I have not seen this powder on yet, and wow.
Look, and and again, I can be super, super generous with this powder, and that's the whole point of this new powder. And you can see how, as I press it, I mean, look at this.
Eddie, my gosh, gorge.
So
like,
it is
beautiful.
It blurs the hell out of the skin.
That looks,
for me,
that looks like porcelain.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like straight up porcelain.
Now, for my folks out there, just so y'all know, I'm a normal to dry skin, okay? Do you know what my skin looks like with that amount of powder on it? Honey. Oh, honey, you don't want to see my skin with that much powder, right? But look at the difference from one side to the other.
Wow. I mean, you're beautiful both ways, but to tell you that if someone wants that super smooth, flawless matte finish, that side's going to be where they're going to go to. Like, literally, you know?
And honestly, you know, too, like when you have to be on camera, I love looking like glowy and shiny, but it
Absolutely.
doesn't read beautiful on camera. So I need to go for this. And like when I do the brand videos, I get very, very nervous about putting that much powder on because I don't want to look dry or aged. And you can see like this literally blurs
Smooth.
everything out. It's so,
Absolutely.
so smooth.
So guys, I went in with a 3, just FYI. I couldn't wait. He did it, and I was like, I can't wait. So
But
I
see,
went
I
in with
mean,
a, I
you
went in
went
with
for
a,
that 3 and it looks great on you.
yeah, I went in with a 3, and I love how I don't really see powder. I see smoothness,
Yeah.
but I don't see the powder.
It's such, I mean, honestly, this is why I tell people, like, you know, it is going to be an adjustment curve. Like, you know, you're like, oh my God, I'm really, because we try to be very delicate with loose powder,
No, I'm
right?
pressing and rolling. Like,
Yes, it's a good, press and roll is always the best way because you don't want to lift up your, what you've done as far as complexion, right? But like when we do a regular loose powder where we're super delicate with how much powder we use, I mean, you saw how much powder I put on my face and it doesn't look dry.
and Eddie, one more thing, if you haven't noticed, I feel like this actually sculpts.
It does a little bit.
I
It's
really
kind of,
see it.
it's kind of why I wanted to go for what, because we're going to be at the makeup show, and I'm talking about achieving dimensional complexion, and it's because these powders do kind of tend to sculpt the skin in a way, and so when you play with the different shades, you're able to get this beautiful dimension on the skin that is so incredible. And so that is why I was like, this needs to be the focus for when I'm on the seminar stage at the makeup show, because it is so impactful to see the difference from one side to the other.
Absolutely. It's gorgeous. Like, it's really smooth. And I'm not even a person who loves, like, I'm like you. I like a glow. But to tell you that this is a beautiful matte light finish to me that
Yeah.
I still appreciate. I think it's beautiful. But.
Yeah, I was never, you know, I used to always run away from it. And maybe because I have PTSD from the 90s.
Liza Minnelli, matte.
Woo! You couldn't tell me nothing, but I was also like, I'm not telling you how old I was, but my skin was much younger. But so I think there was a little PTSD with that. And honestly, I actually am really enjoying this new skin finish matte that we're creating with this powder, because there is something to be said of, like, you know, something that looks blurred out, smooth and pretty, and you know, it's just a difference.
I'm sort of just blown away. I'm blown away, like literally. Like, who is he?
Under the eye, like you could literally, I can take this again. I can put this much powder under my eye for all my bakers out there.
Will you do one of the super mattes on the other side? Just so people can see the difference between side to side of what's going away and what's currently coming in?
Let me grab my super matte loose.
But guys, if you can't see what I'm seeing, it's unfortunate because I feel like here I'm kind of coming forward, but here I'm sculpted, and I like
it's
this.
Pretty impressive. So I'm gonna take my super matte loose from my makeup store.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna use the same puff, okay? Hopefully I got the right shade.
Only you know.
Because I don't really use loose powder on my face anymore. And I'm putting in, you can see I'm kind of massaging it in. And it works pretty close to the super matte loose. We wanted it to keep almost as close, but you can kind of see a little bit more of the difference, how this looks more blurred than this side.
I'm gonna tell you what I see and what I really appreciate from the new powder. You still look like this is skin with this side. This side, I feel like I see product, and not like in a bad way, but I feel like for those people who really want to see a product, that's a good thing. But I feel like I see more product here as opposed to like just seeing just really beautiful, smooth skin. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, because again, you're talking about a talc-based powder versus a non-talc powder. So this is going to look smoother. It has a higher level of silica in there, and then that fancy word ingredient.
That's a spelling bee word, okay?
Yeah. It really does blur much more. It looks more like skin. This looks like a powdered down skin. which is
Absolutely.
definitely not my fan. It's not a fan favorite for me.
And I honestly think that where we are now in makeup and how people are kind of embracing more of a little bit of a glow, a
Yeah.
healthier skin look, that like that side is sort of phasing out of popularity.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, again, it's all about looking like skin, and I think that's super, super important. And again, if you needed an extra blurring, this is where I would kind of go in with my, Ultra HD, and I'll take my, my small brush, and I'll go in. Like if I wanted to blur around my nose a little bit more, I'm gonna layer right on top of it in just very specific areas, like right
I don't
through
feel
where.
like I need any more blurring, but I'm just gonna copy you.
I mean, some people want to look super porcelain, which is, I get it. Or if you do have like a blemish that little thing just does not want to go away,
Now I feel
you
too
can
bad.
add it. But you can see like I've only put it here, here, and here. So it's good. You can layer it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, do you guys love it? Like I'm blown away. I'm in heaven. This is actually a matte that I think is wearable in public, not just on IG. You know what I mean?
For
Like,
sure.
you know what I mean? There's that IG matte, and then there's that real life matte.
Yes.
This is a matte where you can be standing face to face with someone, and they would never be like, "Oh my God, you look dry at all.
No.
You look matte at all. You look like a healthy skin."
Yep. And we had to kind of take a little bit a note of, I know we were talking about like influencers and social media makeup. We had to take a little bit of what was happening or what has been happening for so many years with all this powder on the face that people were putting on. Like, yeah, okay, it looks great on a social media post, but I can't walk around life looking like that. So how do I combine what people are trending and doing with and still make it look like skin and be able to address all needs? From the pro
Absolutely.
artist on set to the to the young person that is sitting behind the camera just doing makeup to kind of be themselves. So how do we kind of merge that and create something that still looks like ultra high definition skin?
Yeah, I mean, even from side to side, when you turn, like even your face on, you can see your cheekbone over here. You can see your cheekbone.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, your cheekbone's kind of smooth out.
It's flat.
Like this powder, guys, I'm kind of blown away.
Yeah.
I am just floored. This powder will be at the makeup show. So guys, if you're interested in this powder, it's $37. We'll be at the makeup show. Eddie will be there. I'll be there. Eddie's doing a class that he's going to talk about real fast. But
Yep.
the makeup show is the 21st, 22nd in Houston. And we're partnering with Makeup Forever. So we will have this powder there for you to purchase.
Yes. So for the seminar stage, I will be talking about, like I said, achieving dimensional complexion, working with the powders. And then I will be doing at the booth, I'll be doing demos on the hour for, I want to say about 5 hours. And we're going to hit every category. And one day is going to be, I'm going to do a little bit more bridal glam style for one of the days. And I'll do a little bit more kind of editorial on another day. And I really am going to focus a little bit more on waterproof for one day and bridal glam for the other. So you guys can kind of see the difference in products that we carry, and I will be using the powder for both days because it's really a new thing, and I want people to understand it and fall in love with it like I did. Eventually, I was like, "Woo!"
No, I may have fallen in love with fashion. You fell in love with it because I was like, wow, it really did like tighten and sculpt the face a little bit for me. Like I was like, and smooth everything out really fast. So yeah, it may have taken you time, but I was like instantly in love.
That's because Mama raised a skeptic. That's what happened. Mama raised a skeptic. Don't fall in love with anything at first. Don't fall in nothing. So I'm just a skeptic always at the beginning. I need to kind of work with things and kind of, absorb and fall in love with it.
Awesome. Well, Eddie, we thank you so much for coming today. And again, guys, we will be at the makeup show together, and Eddie will be doing demos, and he also will be on the main stage. So please come to Makeup Show if you have an opportunity to do that. And thank you again for joining the live. We really appreciate you guys. And if you have any further questions, definitely just leave them in comments, and someone will actually answer those for you guys. Okay, Eddie, thank you so much. We appreciate you so much, and we love Makeup Forever here at Camera Ready.
Always a good time with you. We were like, look, 40 minutes in, we could probably keep going.
Probably.